Hello, I'm Cynthia Vaughn. I'm co-author of The Singing Book by Meribeth Dayme and Cynthia Vaughn, a leading group class voice textbook and song anthology. So today I wanted to talk to the teachers who teach group voice classes about the value of using rounds and unison songs to teach your students, especially in the early days of your class, whether it's a semester or just a few weeks. And there's a temptation, I know, for some teachers to think, oh, well, the unison songs and rounds, those are just baby songs. Those are just too easy, and we are going to skip right to the accompanied solo songs. So I would ask you to consider who are the students who are in your class. So are you going to have beginning singers? Are you going to have students who sang in choir and maybe were soloists in high school or in community choruses? Are you going to have instrumental music ed majors who are new to singing, or maybe not new to singing? Are you going to have music therapy majors? Are you going to have theater and acting majors in your group voice class? Are you going to have students who are required to take the course for their degree? Are you going to have students who need an arts and humanities credit and singing class sounded like more fun than art history? Are you going to have very shy singers who are terrified at the thought of singing by themselves? Are you going to have very confident, gregarious singers who just want to leap into the spotlight? And my answer to those questions is yes. You are going to have all types of those singers in your group voice class. And you may not even know what you got until you show up for your or first class. So it becomes your job as the teacher of this class to figure out pretty quickly what are the ingredients that you've got to make this wonderful voice class soup. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to start out with group unison singing. You'll be able to tell a lot about the students in your class. You'll be able to tell the ones who are the leaders, the ones who are the followers, the ones who sing loud, loudest sometimes. You'll be able to figure out who are the singers that are barely moving their mouth and probably not making very much noise, and maybe their eyes are down and their body language says, why did I do this? Why didn't I sign up for organic chemistry? You're going to have a wide variety of students, and you, the observant voice teacher, can start making some observations private observations as you even discover who you're working with that very first class. So one of there are several in our particular book. There are several group songs and rounds, and I recommend waiting a little bit for rounds. They might not quite be ready to add harmonies and overlap melodies, but if you start with a group unison song, that I would recommend that you teach it call and response. And the reason for that is some of your students will be able to read music. Now, if you are teaching a class that is exclusively made up of instrumental music ed majors or music therapy majors, skip ahead, because we're going to assume that if you're a trumpet major, you can read music. But for a general education mixed group, you can't assume they're going to be able to read music, and that can be very intimidating because they haven't yet learned the language and the symbols of music, and that can come later. But I recommend initially teaching call and response. And one of the songs that I like is to pick one of the 4 partner songs that happens to be out of the singing book. But I think you can apply these strategies no matter what materials you're using for your class. So a really easy one, and maybe they learned it singing around the campfire as a kid, who knows. This is Hey ho, nobody home, eat nor drink nor money have I none, yet I will be very merry. Hey ho, nobody home. I would just sing it a cappella, just sing it straight through, and uh, and then do a little call and response. And you may even, when your students start singing, you may realize that, that key is a little bit high for this particular group of singers. And I would say shift the key around. It doesn't always have to, it doesn't always have to be in D minor. So, maybe on this day I want to go, hey ho, nobody home. And we'll do a little call and response. So you can do this with me. Hey ho, nobody home. Eat nor drink nor money have I none, yet I will be very merry. Hey ho, nobody home. You may have to go through that call and response at least a couple of times and notice who's not singing along in the beginning. And I will never, certainly at this point in the class, I would never shush a loud singer. It's fine. Let them sing out with gusto. But I may make a little bit of eye contact with, someone at the back of the room who's not really making noise yet. Not going to embarrass them, not going to call them out, but just sort of notice who's singing, who's not. Go through this 2, maybe 3 times. Now, at this point, I would have the whole class. Maybe you've got, let's say you have 20 students in your class. Let's have the whole class sing it together with you in unison all the way through. The next thing I would probably do is split the class into 2 halves. So maybe don't worry about what kind of mixture of singers you have in each group. Later in the class, you'll figure out who shouldn't be singing together, who shouldn't be sitting together in class because they're talking all the time, or you'll figure out which student who has a little trouble matching pitch needs to be sitting next to or standing next to a student who has a really good sense of pitch and sings out a bit. You'll figure that out later. Right now, just split them down the middle. And you can have them do call and response back and forth. And then you, as the song leader, can just initiate it with each group. If you're lucky enough to have an accompanist for the class, I would have your accompanist, your piano accompanist, participating in all of the when the accompanist isn't playing. I would encourage them. You can't make them sing, but I would encourage the accompanist to sing along and engage in the class, so that it kind of can suck the energy out of a class if everybody's participating, or you want them to do, and the pianist is over there, texting. So keep the pianist involved as well. And if that's the scenario, you can lead one half, your collaborative pianist can lead the other half, or you can just lead each half. Maybe after that, what I would do is split the class down into smaller groups. And while one half of the class listens, you could have the other half split into 2 parts. Well, first of all, they could just sing it straight through, or again, they could do call and response. At a certain point, everybody knows the song. It's memorized. You've gone through it. They've learned it by osmosis. There's no reason to be, staring at the book at that point. And I think it's fun to do what I call a song relay. And this particular song, because it's in 4 parts, but I would say divide your class into 3 or 4 groups. By this time, even the very first class, you might start to say, okay, why don't you go over there with those people? Why don't you might be able to start to strategically divide your class up. But I would do it as a song relay, which means that the very first group does the first phrase. Hey ho, nobody home, eat nor, and then it goes on to the next group. And it's kind of fun if initially you say, okay, you're going to start, you're going to do the next phrase, you're going to do the third phrase. It's really fun if you don't tell them who's going to go next. And you, as the director, you get to point to this group and then that group. And then the group over here thinks you're going to call on them next, but no, you're going to go back to this group. And then you're going to go over here and just keep them on their toes. Hopefully they'll be having fun and they'll be a little bit distracted, and some of the shyer singers will actually start having fun and singing out. So that little exercise that I just talked through, that may take up easily half of the class time if you have a 1 hour class, and you can fill the rest of the class with whatever you're going to do next. But don't feel like you have to rush that. There's nothing that says that you have to do all 75 songs within a 1 semester class. In fact, that's not going to happen. Typically, what will happen is throughout the semester, maybe the students will learn 6 songs. So it's up to you, the teacher, to figure out which songs you're all going to learn together at the beginning, and then as the class goes on, allow the students to make some choice about what they want to sing. And I'll be sharing some other ideas with you down the road, but I want to leave you with 2 ideas. The theme of the book that Meribeth Dayme and I came up with is sing first, talk about it later. So with that idea in mind, make sure that everybody sings every class. That there's never a class where half the class or a bunch of individuals are just like sitting there and watching other people sing. There's not a faster way to get people to tune out and be disengaged from your class than for them to be sitting there just simply watching other singers. And so even if it's everyone is engaged in the vocal warm-ups, or find ways that everybody sings every time, even if they're not singing for the full 50 or 60 minutes. So I will be back with some more, hopefully helpful suggestions later on. So sing first, talk about it later. Bye-bye.